Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to Circling Seattle Sports on Converge Media. Charles Hamaker, as always, joined to you by Bel Garcia. Whoa. Wow, there is a good amount of stuff to go over. NFL draft happened, and people are okay with the Seahawks haul so far.
Yeah.
Mariners had a kind of on and off road trip down to Florida. The Storm played their last preseason game, and the roster cuts are sort of coming. We'll get to that. The Kraken ended their inaugural season. The Reign ended their, Challenge Cup group play and started their NWSL regular season. The Sounders have played leg one of the CONCACAF Champions League final, and the Seawolves continue to be in the MLR Western Conference hunt. So with that all being said, there's a ton of stuff to go over. We're going to try to get through it all, starting off with our Seattle Seahawks here and the NFL draft. And we will go over to Bel Garcia for that. Bel, how did it all go down?
There were no surprises with the number 9 pick, surprisingly. They did keep their number 9 pick, and they drafted Mississippi State offensive tackle Charles Cross. Just a couple of things on Cross here. He was first team all conference in 2021. He's projected to become a good long-time starter at either tackle position, but John Schneider has said that he will start at left tackle. So moving on here to round 2 for the number 40 pick, Boy Mafe from Minnesota, third team all conference in 2021, traits and toughness to develop into an above average starter as a 4-3 defensive end. At number 41, they selected running back Kenneth Walker from Michigan State. He's first team All-American, top running back of the year in 2021, can handle RB1 workload, but needs work as a third down option. In round 3 for number 72, offensive tackle Abraham Lucas from Washington State, first team All Pac-12 in 2021, scheme limited but has eventual starting potential. At number 109 in round 4, cornerback Coby Bryant, from Cincinnati. I know, interesting name there. Winner of Jim Thorpe Award as nation's top defensive back, second team All-American, projected to become a CB2, CB3. At round number 5, number 153, corner Tariq Woolen, UTSA honorable mention all conference in 2021, has rare measurables and potential to play all over, viewed as raw prospect. And at number 158 in the 5th round, defensive end Tyreek Smith from Ohio State, second team all conference in 2021, flashes to be able to become rotational defensive end. And now we hit round 7 here. Number 229, wide receiver Bo Melton from Rutgers, was Rutgers top pass catcher in 2021, viewed as a depth wide receiver. And ending it here at number 233, wide receiver Derek Young from Lenoir Rhine University, All South Atlantic Conference honors in 2021, viewed as a raw prospect. And we do have a list of undrafted free agents here as well. QB Levi Willis, Shamarius Gilmore, John Mitchell, Josh Anajuo, and I'm saying that wrong, I think. Okay. Matthew Gattell, Bubba Bolden, Joey Blunt, Deontay Williams, and a few rookie minicamp tryout invitees not reported as a UDFA signing. Caleb Ellaby, Sincere McCormick, Tyree Stedman, Elijah Jones, and Race Porter. What are your thoughts, or how would you rate the draft and the Seahawks picks overall?
So I know that NFL.com gave it a C+. Now, this was really interesting because I read a stat about these, I think it was the success rate or the draft rate of the Seahawks when it came to those primary positions, skill positions, so to say. And the Seahawks really had avoided stuff like that in the earlier rounds of the draft. Now, obviously, when that number 9 pick came around, Evan Neal had come off the board. So my pick was off the board. I was like, either it's it's Charles Cross, or they're going to reach and take Malik Willis. Willis was not the choice. Seattle stayed away from cornerback until obviously we see here with the rookie camp invitees and the undrafted free agents. How I would look at this, I would say I want to look at one con and one pro at this. I think one pro, you got a lot of guys with a lot of talent all across the board. I mean, you talk about Coby Bryant there, a guy that, you read it, won the Jim Thorpe Award for the nation's top defensive back. And he played on a team at Cincinnati with Sauce Gardner, who was widely, regarded as the best cornerback in the draft.
Yes.
Right. So, I mean, that seems like almost an underrated pick itself. Charles Cross seems like a guy that's going to be able to step in and start from day one. Abraham Lucas might be a guy that can surprise and start at the other tackle spot. I know that we've talked about Jake Curran at the right tackle spot, but Lucas might be a guy that was even talked about going in the first round. I know that there's been talk about the injuries to the running back room, with Chris Carson and Rashad Penny, and people want more of a guy that can stay healthy, and that's where Kenneth Walker comes into play, and I understand that. But I think that using a pick like that, what was it? Was that second round?
Yeah, that was second round, number 41.
Yeah, I don't know fully about using a second round pick on a running back when you've done that in the last few years already. You would like to have a vote of confidence from Chris Carson, or do we even have any? I haven't heard anything about Chris Carson in a few weeks, I don't think, or months.
No, yeah.
So one, how healthy is Chris Carson? And two, what is this telling me about Rashad Penny, who is already on? You've got three guys here. How often does an NFL team have three, at minimum, say, above average to good running backs in one roster at all? That hardly happens, and usually if it does happen, they don't stay for very long. So I'm wondering if you're accounting for am I reaching here and saying you might be accounting for someone heading out, or are you just trying to take talent at a spot where Pete Carroll, the run the ball philosophy and all that? People have said that they're stocking up talent around Drew Lock. You've got the wide receivers, obviously. You've got the offensive tackles now on that offensive line. Noah Fant comes back to join him. Are you just putting talent around Drew Lock? Because obviously I think that's what it is. Since
I would say so.
You didn't draft Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder. And I think there's even a quote we have later on here that talks about the quarterback situation. So obviously I think that kind of answers it. I think we're dug in at quarterback, but overall, if you're going to ask me to give an opinion on the draft, I would say it's a good start. Obviously, none of these guys have played an NFL down yet, so I don't know. But I think this is a good haul, and I'm interested to see how. I can't put out a final. I can't say, oh, this was a bad draft.
Yeah,
because you can never say that until maybe a few years down the line.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to say it's good on paper.
Okay.
It's good on paper, I would say.
That's good. Sounds good.
What about you? What do you think?
I would agree. I think not trading that number 9 and just going with that offensive tackle option was a good option. I was surprised by the corner pickups just because I know we've mentioned how they are pretty stacked in that position, but interested to see who they go with moving forward for sure.
Well, I want to touch on that because we talked about that, right? But also I wonder if it might be a situation like last season where the team signed Ahkello Witherspoon away from the 49ers, and then he got traded before the season even really began. Okay. And a Trey Brown kind of emerged. So I wonder if it's a situation where it's this whole compete mentality where, you draft these young guys. You've got some guys like an Artie Burns, Sidney Jones, even he's a Husky, I don't want to say it, but who might be, hey, if the young guys play well, they're going to be have more potential and have more upside because they're younger and they're starting their career. But two, they're going to be cheaper because they're on their rookie contracts. Yes. So I wonder if that factors into the whole compete mentality.
It'll be interesting to see what the final roster is once the season does get started. And of course, we will make sure to update you guys on that. Moving on to some team news here. On May 1st, it was announced that the team would decline the 5th-year option for defensive end LJ Collier. The option would have been worth $11.5 million. Also, the team reportedly happy with quarterback situation. As you said, Pete Carroll says, we're really happy with the guys we've got to see them battle, and we'll see what happens. So it does look like they're pretty confident with that Drew Lock pick and 100% decided on him moving forward.
Yeah, and I know they talked about, the competition with Geno Smith, but if I have to be on the Drew Lock train, he's younger than Geno Smith, and the reports I've read about him from Denver have been, hey, this is a guy that was winning the battle in camp. I think when they had Teddy Bridgewater, if you remember that, when he was in Denver, he was winning in camp, just looked better, and then the Denver media was surprised when Teddy B got the start.
Right.
So I'm wondering how much of it's situation, because, hey, in any job, really, if you're not succeeding in one position, sometimes you just need a fresh start, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder how much of that is situation, maybe scheme-wise, because we've seen guys say, like the Vikings a few years ago with Case Keenum. Case Keenum by no means is a good quarterback. It's an average starter. Average backup, sure. But because of, you look at what? Stephon Diggs, Dalvin Cook, their offensive line, Kyle Rudolph, and their defense as well. You put a good supporting cast around somebody that's, average to above average, they can succeed. So I'm just wondering, hey man, if we get to like mid-season, Drew Lock's playing good, I don't need him to be I don't need him to be great. If he's above average to good, it's more than I can ask for, really, because I'm coming into this, I'm not expecting much. I'm really not expecting much. So hey.
How many wins do you see? I know that's a tough question, but I'm really curious.
I would like at least one more than this past season and go with 8.
Yeah.
But I don't, again, quarterback play in this league is so important. I mean, you look at the teams that have been to the Super Bowl in the past few years, with the Bengals and the Rams this past season, Matthew Stafford, Joe Burrow last year. What was it? The Chiefs and the Buccaneers with Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. All the top teams. I mean, the Packers with Aaron Rodgers. The Ravens have struggled with Lamar Jackson, but they haven't given him, to be fair, enough of a supporting cast. Yeah. So you're going to need a guy. You're going to need a franchise guy. And I'm really interested to see how much of that Drew Lock will be supported by what's in place for him. So I would like to say it would be like 8-8, but now it's 8-9 because of the
one a game, the one extra.
So I would like to say 8. I don't know about you, but I would like to have one more than last year.
That would be, I think, a good starting goal for sure. Moving on here on the 2nd, DK believes that he will stay in Seattle. Seahawks wideout confident about agreeing to a new deal, saying we're going to get something done. So that's good news. Of course, we would love to keep DK here, and he's been all behind Drew Lock, so that's definitely good news. Moving on to league news here. On April 26th, running back Melvin Gordon re-signed with the Denver Broncos, 1 year up to $5 million contract. And they are comparing the running back duo in Denver to Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon from Green Bay. It's kind of interesting.
Who's the other running back in Denver?
Javonte Williams.
See, I saw a lot about Javonte Williams, a lot of talk about him, but I didn't really see much production from him. So I think
was backup for Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon did get injured, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And Javonte,
I think Williams is out of UNC. That could be North Carolina. Sure. I don't know. I think Aaron Jones is a guy who's like a top 15 guy in the league. And then A.J. Dillon is a guy who's got a lot of use as his backup. I'm not saying he's like starter capable, but he definitely fills that role in as a solid 1-2 punch. So I don't know if you can compare that,
I thought that was kind of interesting, though, considering that we were run heavy in Seattle, and then Wilson left Seattle, go to Denver, and then they have a 1-2 punch running back system that they think is great. So might fall into that same play scheme. We'll see what happens. On the 27th, Arizona Cardinals picked up Kyler Murray's 5th-year option that locks him in under contract through the 2023 season. On the 28th, during the draft, the Titans traded wide receiver A.J. Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles. Brown was reportedly shocked by the trade, letting fans know that he wanted to stay. However, I did see a video of him working out with Jalen Hurts, I think a week prior to the trade. Yes. So who knows how surprised he was by that. Are there any reports that he asked to be traded?
Not that I've seen. I know that he, with saying he wanted to stay, that he was talking about how a deal with the Titans was closer than it appeared. I don't know what to believe. My trust has been broken ever since the Russell Wilson deal. Because then Bobby Wagner talked about it a few weeks ago on I think it was the Dan Patrick show or whatever, where he said how Russell came to him and said, "Hey, how do you feel about Denver?" And like the days after that, the days leading up to that trade, Pete Carroll, John Schneider, Russell Wilson all said the quarterback's not going anywhere effectively. So my trust is broken. I don't know about you. I don't know what to believe anymore.
We just don't know how transparent people are being, and that's kind of tough this season. It's been a tough off season for sure. On May 2nd, DeAndre Hopkins has been suspended. The Cardinals wide receiver suspended 6 games for violating NFL's PED policy. Now, does this suspension begin in the preseason or no? It's going to be all regular season games. So tough blow for the Cardinals there. Of course, they still have Kyler Murray, but Kyler Murray did have to play without DeAndre Hopkins for a few games last season, and it looks like that'll continue moving on to this season. And that about ties us all up for the Seahawks. So I'm going to go ahead and